out. I'll let Chair make the formal request for Vice Chair to run the meeting, but with her being on Zoom, I think she can make that request to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just asking if Vice Chair will run the meeting in my absence.
Okay, sure. So we do have a quorum, and we'll recognize Board Member Derry when he arrives, and we can get started if it is your discretion.
Sure. All right. Welcome to the Design Review Board regular meeting. We all join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our next thing on the agenda is call to the community. This is the time for citizens who would like to address the commission on any non-agenda item. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to asking staff to review the matter, asking that the matter be put on a future agenda. So we don't have any.
Vice Chair, we have one request to speak, but it is item specific.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we have two requests to speak, but those will come later during presentations on items.
Okay. All right. So moving on, the first item of business is approval of a backyard shed. So I will turn it over to Randy.
Thank you, Chair, or Vice Chair, Chair online, members of the board. Good evening. First item is item 5A. This is a backyard shed. It's case PZ 2574. The applicant is Efren Martinez. The address is 502 West Wigwam Boulevard. And this is a request to modify a pre-built shed to comply with our zoning standards. As far as background on the project, the zoning is R115, and this request would essentially rebuild the roof structure of a pre-built shed to meet the maximum height requirements in his desired location in the backyard. The shed would also be painted to match the color of the home to provide that contextual appropriateness. Here's a depiction on the front of the house. The shed is in the backyard, but just the context as far as the harmonious design intent of the primary structure being the home. The shed itself, this is a rendering of what will be. Currently, it is more of a mansard roof, a barn roof, if you were. Being in the desired location, there are height maximums required. So this would essentially rebuild what was already purchased and is coming into compliance through a code matter, as well as a repainting to, again, match with the primary structure of the home. As far as the depiction of where that is located is here in the backyard. You'll have to take my word for it. It is the dark gray box in the lower right-hand corner of the image. As far as staff's analysis goes, the proposed improvements, are harmonious with the existing architecture. The proposal does meet all intentions of Section 39 of the zoning code. That is our design review section. And we have not received any public comments on this proposal. So our recommendation is to approve the proposed backyard shed. It's filed PZ 2574 at 502 East Wigwam Boulevard, subject to the exhibits provided in your packet this evening and one stipulation, which I will read. A building permit issued by the city will be required before any construction is to occur. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
I have a quick question. Is it east or west Wigwam Boulevard? Because when I looked up the address, I could only find it with west. So just like for when we make a motion, is it east or?
Yes, Board Member Dudley, it is east. Anything east of Old Litchfield Road is addressed here in the park as east. So in that example, 502 West does not exist. If you could, after the meeting, please tell me which mapping service you are using, as I am constantly making fixes to a number of mapping services that get this wrong.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Is the applicant here?
Yes, answer.
Sir, did you have anything you wanted to add to the presentation by staff?
No, no, sir, I'm hoping that get approved and start to move to the next phase of building permits.
Right. Thank you. And what's your name, sir?
Efren Martinez.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any,
I have just a small question about lot coverage and because the back is covered with a sport court and limits the drainage capability.
Chair, I will take the feedback as in the form of a question. I think if the concern is regarding the two-part answer, lot coverage is not a concern in the sense of structured lot coverage, but yes, regarding the drainage, this is a slight increase of an area that is already in concrete. This was reviewed by our city engineer, who did not have the comment that he sometimes does make, depending on the size of the project. This change was such a small scope, we did not recalculate based on all non-permeable surfaces to require that 1 hour, the typical drainage requirement he has. If it is a concern, we can certainly review that during the construction drawings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
if there are no other questions, would someone like to make a motion?
Motion. Can you go back to the page?
Okay.
So I can see what. Okay, move that we approve the backyard shed, PZ 25-74, subject to the stipulation number 1.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Hi,
All right. Yeah, here's the ayes have it, and we'll move on to the next. The next question. Okay, the next one on B is approval of Arizona road conversion.
Thank you, Vice Chair, and for everyone in attendance this evening, thank you for your proposals and improving your homes and your backyards. We certainly appreciate your efforts. As your item is completed, feel free to leave. This will be going for an hour and a half. There's baseball on, there's football on, dinner's getting cold. By no means are you have to stay. Item 5B is an Arizona room conversion. It's PC 2576. The applicant is David Ridgway. The address is 519 Redondo Drive North. The request is the conversion of his Arizona room into a home addition with associated site improvements. And for the record, we have been joined by Board Member Derry. Thank you. The zoning for the project is R115, and the request would convert the Arizona room into a new bedroom, bathroom, along with replacing the existing chain link fence with a solid unfinished block to match the neighbors along the alley with an access gate. And I'll explain this in more detail in the renderings. Here's a look at it from the front of the house. We'd like to give, again, the context of what is being proposed, as the Arizona room will be matching some of the vertical siding elements you see on the left-hand side of the image in the living space. The proposed Arizona room is in the shaded box in, I would say, the very center of the image. It is existing. It's already has the roof structure. This is basically converting a 3-season room into a part of the home. The home also backs to an alley, and the existing chain link is there on the north end of, oh, it does work now. It works. This is the chain link fence that is being proposed to be modified into solid block. The request would also include a gate element The applicant is aware that we do not have any permissions or allowances for RV storage. However, we do want them to be able to fully utilize their lot and utilize the access they are granted off the alley for whatever purposes they may have. Mr. Quest is also looking for board approval to do unfinished block. The requirement in code is stucco and paint. However, the applicant is requesting unfinished block to match the neighboring properties, and through your board action, you can permit that alternative. Here's a look at the depictions again. You will see no changes to the front or the sides of the home, just the rear of the home. The rear of the home is being done in that, again, that vertical siding that is consistent with the accent material that's located on the front of the home as well. Regarding our analysis, the proposal does meet the intention of section 39 of the design code. And as mentioned, the modified wall can be approved through this board action. We have not received any public comments on this proposal. So we would move to approve the proposed conversion and wall addition. Excuse me, that's terrible English. Please don't mark me down on that. This is file number PZ 2576, located at 519 Redondo Drive North. Subject to the exhibits provided by the applicant, and one stipulation, again, a building permit issued by the city will be required before any construction is to occur. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on this proposal.
I just have a quick one, easy one. Did I see that the gate opens to the pool area?
Council member, there is a pool in the vicinity. They have the benefit of a pie-shaped lot that has a very large amount of space before you get to the pool and the decking itself. But in the grand scheme of things, yes, it does get to the pool eventually.
So it will have the appropriate self-closing, locking gate.
Council member, that is a great point. I will defer to the building official to ensure that situation, but that is something that we can add as a stipulation of this. Otherwise, it is a code requirement anyways, which would have to be enforced.
Are there any other questions? Is the applicant here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, would you state your name for the record?
Edson Pereira.
Mr. Herrick, come up to the plenty.
Oh, sorry about that. Edson Pereira.
And so did you have anything that you wanted to add before we decide?
No, just would love to get an approval so we can make this house a nicer house and upgrade this house and keep it still within what, I mean, we have another house right down the road that we just want to make this a beautiful house for the neighbors.
Just a side note, I used to be your next door neighbor.
All right, unless there's a question, any more questions, or would somebody like to make the motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed Arizona room conversion. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't discuss the block either, which I'm gonna propose that we approve that. So in case there's any further discussion about that, but I'm gonna move that we approve the proposed Arizona room conversion as presented, located at 519 Redondo Drive North, subject to the exhibits provided by the applicant and city stipulation number 1.
I'll second. We have a motion, and we have a second. Any more discussion?
I have one quick question. Does our motion need to include the wall?
Council member, because we are stipulating to the exhibits within the packet, the exhibits are depicting that same block unfinished wall, so you do not need to formally correct.
All right. Would anyone like to make a motion?
We have a motion and a second, Vice Chair.
Oh, I missed.
That's okay.
Okay.
I
All right.
distracted you. I'm
All
sorry.
right, no problem. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There we go. All right, motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love the shirt.
Okay, moving on. Okay, the next one is request for approval for new pergolas. Mr. Randy Proch.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Item 5C is new pergolas, case PZ 2578. The applicant is Desiree. I'm going to say Desiree. I'm not positive on the last name. Address is 211 Bahia Lane East. The request is to construct 2 new pergolas onto the existing home. The zoning is RCPD, is the home that's just down the street. In fact, its request would add a pergola on the front of the house that would frame the front door as well as the adjacent courtyard space. I note in this situation that the homes already do have a 1-hour wall, as these homes are abutting one another. So in normal situations, we wouldn't have any sort of lattice covering that is extending all the way to property line. Because these homes already have a 0-foot property line and the 1-hour fire protection, this sort of addition being a fire resistant material already isn't a concern in that situation. Here's a depiction of the front of the home. It's, again, would frame the front door, draw attention to it. It is within the permittable zoning setbacks. We had to work together to make sure that we weren't too much encroaching to the front yard, but we got as much as we could in this situation. And then from above, you can see that second location, not visible from the street, but is basically infilling that space located adjacent to the other yard. As far as our analysis goes, it is harmonious, certainly with the existing architecture. We've had a few of these houses along Bahia that have made these sorts of improvements. We're always excited to see, input and additions onto those situations. It does meet the intentions of Section 39 of the zoning code or design standards. We have not received any public comments on this proposal. So we would move to approve, excuse the typo again, file PZ 2578 located at 211 Bahia Lane East, subject to the exhibits provided by the applicant. One stipulation, again, a building permit issued by the city will be required before any construction is to occur. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr.?
I have a question about the materials and if it's just open lattice work.
Chair, it's Duralume. There's a lot of different names. It goes by Elite Wood, Aluma Wood. This one is a Duralume structure, and it is a semi-open proposed nature.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we approve the backyard shed, file number PC 25-78, subject to the exhibits and stipulation.
And Councilmember Rainer Watson, I apologize. I have a typo in there where it says backyard shed. That should be pergolas.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Amend my motion to pergolas.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Was that a nay or was that a? That voice just comes out of
I
nowhere.
think she said aye.
Okay.
Feels like a- Okay, motion passes. Next one is item D, also a request for a pergola. And this is over on 390 East Campina Drive. Mr. Roach.
Thank you, Chair. Just looking in the audience, I don't have enough applicants left for all the cases. Is this you?
Yes.
Perfect. Then I'm missing the next applicant on, but we'll get there when we get there. Item 5D is the new pergola is PZ 2579. The applicant is Kent Shepard at 390 East Campina Drive. Is requested to construct a cantilever pergola in the backyard. The zoning is R1. This is one of the houses that backs to Camelback Road. It's in a very specific location, which I'll depict on the following images. There's a rear yard PUE called utility easement with utilities in that easement, as well as its separation of 10 feet from the main home. Here's a look at the front of the house. The pergola is almost right down the middle and the back, so it would not be visible by any means along the front of the house, and certainly not along Camelback Road due to the walls. Here's a quick drawing of how that would be. Again, you can see it right there at the top of the image, right in the center. And you'll note our requirement for that PUE, which is a redlined but approvable situation in this regard. Again, a depiction of how that would look. That is a cantilever design. There are a number of improvements that I did not include in the images, but already found within that backyard. This is basically covering an area that's already been improved. So we do feel as though, as far as analysis goes, this is harmonious with the existing architecture, very modern home with a modern design. The proposal meets the intention of Section 39 of the code, and we have not received any public comments on this proposal. And with that, we would move to approve. Again, I apologize for the typo. The file number is correct, PZ 2579 at 390 East Campina Drive, subject to the exhibits provided by the applicant and two stipulations. One, a building permit issued by the city will be required before any construction is to occur. And two, provide a minimum setback of at least 8 feet from the rear property line in order to accommodate the public utility easement. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
How tall, according to the picture, it looks really like it's really standing way up there as far as 12 feet or something. How tall is the low point going to be?
Board Member Derry, I don't have that information offhand. I would have to defer to the applicant who should have that. So, do you know the height of the structure? And if you do, can you head over there while I look at the?
My name is Steve Neal. Ken Shepard is the contractor. We came up with these plans a long time ago. Finally submitting for it. The point was to have it not be much higher at all than the exterior walls, so it's not seen too much from the road. So I know with the cantilever it would start, I believe, about, I think that fence is 8 feet tall on the back of the Camelback, and then slope slightly upward just so it would slope it down. So I believe at the highest it would be 9 feet at the highest point, which would be farther up into the yard.
Okay. No, that's why I say, just looking at the picture, certainly looked like it at the low point, at 12 feet, kind of floating out there. First, it's not going to do what you really want to do, is shade.
Right.
So now bringing it down like that, and I have no problem with it.
All right, if there's no further questions, would someone like to
You can
make a
make,
motion?
you can make the motion.
I'll make
I know
it.
you'd like to do that.
That is my favorite. I will move that we approve the proposed pergola located at 390 East Campina Drive, subject to the exhibits provided and stipulations 1 and 2.
Second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi,
Motion carries. And with that, we move on to,
Thank you.
Thank you.
let's see, was that E we just did?
Vice Chair, that was
Or was that
E.
B? Okay, I got ahead of myself. Okay, so we're on E, it's discussion of the new pergola at 310 West Campbell Avenue. Mr. Proch.
Chair, unless, I know the three people sitting in the audience, and unless they are living separate lives, I don't believe any of the three audience members are representing this proposal this evening. We do require attendance by the applicant. All applicants were made aware of this, and I spoke with both the applicant and the owner in the past week, so I do not see them present.
Okay.
So I would, my recommendation would be to table, but that is of this board's discretion, how they would like to proceed.
Could we table and if they happen to show?
We
put it
can,
back on?
sure,
And secondly, did we reach out to them
as a
after the meeting started and?
council member, I'm going to pass this file to our planning assistant in the back, who can maybe get them on the phone while we move to the next item.
Yeah.
We can take that out of hold.
There's a question about that. Aren't they doing a bunch of remodel on that house? And didn't we talk about them, I don't know, 5, 6 months ago? about something going on, and then they said later they're gonna add on Campbell.
Board Member Derry, you'd have to help me out on that one. We are over 80 projects this year, which is a new record of, quite frankly, for the amount of design review cases. This one didn't sound familiar to me. We've had a few around, but I don't recall this one being one we see.
I'm just asking if you recognized it, because they had said that when we approved it, let's see, I left in June, so it was probably May or April, we approved something near 310 West Campbell. And so it was, and whatever, but that, if you don't remember it, no big deal.
Okay.
What's the picture look like?
I think this is a different project anyway. I think the one you're talking about is the one that had kind of the mid-century slope garage.
Yeah.
This is something different, I think.
Good.
Vice Chair, if it's okay, we will move to item F and revisit E if possible. Sure. Thank you. Okay, so item 5F is the Hilltop Park. It's in quotes because it is unnamed. The city is actively discussing how to brand and name the library, the park, the area, working with our friends at Sun Health, as well as Iowa Free School District, Maricopa County Library District, PW Litchfield Heritage Center. There's a lot of names, a lot of friends. The address is 5374 North Litchfield Road, and this is a recommendation hearing to approve the preliminary park designs to City Council. This keeps happening, but I have to ask that Councilmember Brainerd Watson recuse herself from this item, as she will see it in less than 2 weeks' time at the City Council meeting. And it'll be the council's discretion how they would like to proceed based on your recommendation. This item will also be going before RPG next week and has also been presented to PW Litchfield's Historic Preservation Subcommittee.
Just clarification, Randy, am I
Yeah.
allowed to make comment on anything or just totally?
Councilmember Brainerd Watson, if you could, any sort of feedback would be best suited during the council meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you. And we do have enough to proceed. So the zoning is agritourism, and as odd as it sounds, this is one of those situations you would see it anyways as a city project, but we do, as far as the formality goes, in code require any project within agritourism to go as a recommendation by DRB with the city council approval. Again, as a capital project, we would have showed it to you anyways. This request would essentially complete the remainder of La Loma restoration projects with the park itself. Its initial phase, what I'm going to show you is the master plan for everything with an unlimited budget. We think we can do a majority of this. We're not sure how much our dollar will stretch, but the contractual stipulations that we have with Iowa Free School District are for the beautification. That would be the landscaping, the hardscaping, the parking, the palms, the trees, the shrubs, that sort of effort. Here's a look at the big picture. I will zoom in on a number of situations ahead. This is everything I thought we'd get to eventually. This has been in my head and finally in someone's more capable hands to make this sort of imagery as far as what we're trying to accomplish. In essence, this is finishing what we started in 2003. And just to give you a little bit of background story, and we'll wait for a phone call back from our applicant, so I will stall you for the rest of this evening and no wild card baseball or football to watch. In 2003, we started a La Loma Homestead Planning Committee, and these meetings were attended by Wally Denny. He went to every single one of them. They met for 12 months. They had put together a plan. That plan was then accepted by City Council at that time and was never further acted upon. If you were with me in January during the open house, I told a bit of the story. I don't mind telling it again. The one thing Wally was very upset about and wrote 2 letters to Horatio, if you can go in the Wayback Machine, is there was a planned commercial center right here, and essentially a field of parking right here with the buildings wrapping around a field of parking in the middle. So going back to the historic cultural, social uses, where we were very excited to talk with all our Freedom School District about a fine arts academy. Again, there's no fields here. This is just the performing arts. The theater is part of that proposal as well. We were very gracious and I guess Supervisor Clint Hickman was very gracious in his support of his community initiatives projects to find $5 million to build this library. That library will go under construction in about 4 weeks' time. The museum and all their efforts to fundraise in the main house are all getting close to being done with their design plans, with hopeful construction starting in January. I will vacation in September of next year and not a moment sooner, quite frankly. And cut my hair. Yes, but not a moment too soon. So this is trying to accomplish everyone's goals. In our open house, we had surveys. We've had a website dedicated to this. We've been taking public feedback. It's been in City Line. We've received over 150 comments that gave opinion and recommendation as far as what they wanted to see at this park. By no means is this my thoughts alone. By no means is this trying to dust off a plan from 2003. This is current. This is based on feedback from all parties, as well as RPG. Before this was an idea, RPG, Recreation Public Grounds Commission, saw a blank canvas. The only thing that was presented to them was the outline of the parking lot of the school and the school buildings. Nothing else was shown to them. We then did a table exercise for about 45 minutes where I provided them cutouts of all the sort of active amenities you can think of: volleyball, pickleball, frisbee golf, playgrounds, skate parks, aquatic centers, tennis, whatever the case was, the dog parks. RPG then spent those 45 minutes deliberating what amenities they saw that fit, recognizing that there has been some public input and desire to see some of those sorts of amenities somewhere. At the end of the 45 minutes, all of those active amenity cutouts were placed into a pile and given back to me because there was not a desire to make this that sort of park. I will tell you, I did a similar effort with PW Litchfield and their design team, and that deliberation took 3 minutes. And they gave it all back to me and said, no, thank you. So again, we are trying to advance as many directives and ideas that were presented to us and given us in feedback over these sessions. Our website has been recently updated. On the homepage is a page dedicated to all the La Loma projects, including the park, which has all the public feedback as well as far as how those rankings go. The top of everything, above anything else, was botanical gardens and walking trails. And again, I'm showing you the big picture. We'll zoom in just a second. So this has that. This has that in spades. When we were starting to look into this project more formally, we found the landscape architect that did the Japanese Friendship Garden in downtown Phoenix and portions of the botanical gardens. I then took him out to this site and I walked with him for an hour. And the first thing he asked me, is this a passive or is this an active sort of park? And I didn't tell him. I waited till he walked around the site for an hour, after which he grabbed me by the collar and said, we have to put it back the way it was. And I think you're consistent with the message we've been hearing. So here we are. I'm going to zoom in on a number of different quadrants so we can see this better. We're going to start at the top right. So what this is a number of things. The library is essentially assigned and defined within the space east of this main drive aisle. There's a bit of a fire lane as secondary points of access because this is the main way in and out. The roundabout starts construction in November and not a moment sooner, quite frankly. You'll notice along Litchfield Road are the 10-foot pathway sections and the bailouts right here and here. Very similar to, if you've been in Litchfield Square, as you are on Village Parkway headed towards New Litchfield Road, you'll see golf carts and bikes must enter or exit depending on the direction you're going. We will get the golf carts here. We do not anticipate having golf carts trampled through this park by any means. So we do have 18 golf cart parking spaces as center as we can make them to all the amenity spaces. The parking lot is tapered intentionally to stay away from the hill as much as possible while still making sense and still providing a net yield that makes sense for us. There are convenient ADA parking spaces adjacent to this event space, as well as dedicated ADA parking spaces adjacent to the museum, PW Litchfield. You'll notice we've hidden the fire truck lanes in decomposed granite and put sidewalks through them. The sidewalks will be at the same grade as the decomposed granite. You should be none the wiser that this is even an area for the fire truck to come up and turn around. All this area is flattened out, but certainly there is a bit of a climb to come up to grade. As you know, it's called La Loma, not La Mesa, so it is very much a hill. We are trying to acknowledge that as much as we can and not flatten that out. So the sidewalk here on the center spine at the midpoint, let's call it, is level with the cottages 3 and 2, as well as the museum, but then it falls. It falls at a 5% grade towards this stage. One of the things we've learned, I think, from some of our other projects is you put people's backs to the sun, they all face north, the stage is depressed compared to all the people sitting in it, just like a stadium, so that they can all see it and enjoy it. There is a wall that wraps behind the stage, as well as other wall elements here in these black lines that are intended to be somewhat of a mural, somewhat of a walking museum of sorts. I didn't have a chance to tell this to PW, if you could pass it along. It's anticipated to be a bit of a history of the hill as you walk around. You'll see again, just to emphasize the amount of sloping, the ADA path in the sidewalk is quite a bit of switchbacks to get down to the parking lot from the higher point here at the museum. There's a bus drop-off area as well, whether that be school buses, tour buses, what have you. That is an area that is right against the curb. However, you can certainly come up here as well as this fire department turnaround. And then lastly, very much a focal point, a peacock, whereas currently working the idea in flower beds, raised gardens, what have you, to be a focal point as you walk in. As you head south, the wall starts to climb. If you've been by the site, you've seen the temporary nature of the shotcrete to make sure that the houses don't fall away until the block wall is constructed. That block wall, just to give you a sense, is about 10 feet tall here. The dark black square you see right there, let me jump back ahead. Right here is a set of stairs. It's climbing about 10 feet in height. From there, that wall climbs for 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, about 20 at that southeast corner of the main cottage, the museum, and then falls again 16, 14, 12, 10 to about here, and a second set of stairs. From that point over, it is natural grade that's sloping again away from those hills. Moving forward. We're picking up where we left off. We're just heading a little bit further west. You can see the main fire lane, excuse me, again, in decomposed granite. The rest of this desertscape landscaping is a cobble mix. It is not, we didn't want to just blade, grade, and put 1-inch rock everywhere as if it was manicured or designed as such. This fire lane is decomposed granite, and at the edges of that 20 feet, there is not a border. There's not a curb. It's not a red stripe. It is meant to be invisible, but necessary, quite frankly. Then you'll start to see the mix of different rock sizes go in. All the shrubs and trees start outside of that 20-foot area. The other thing that we're showing is, again, all the future amenities. We hope to be able to afford them. We're trying our best to fit everything that is desired. When I say that, I mean the bandstand is certainly here. We do anticipate a set of restrooms here, internal to the public works yard, and a ramada / green room / wedding prep space / bathroom here at the bottom of the terrace, as well as a main ramada on top of the tank. The tank of 325,000 gallons of water is steel and concrete. We are trying desperately to find the right structural engineer to come kick it to see what its integrity is. that is taking some time. The fire lane does wrap around the edge of that tank, so the tank can stay as is. It is the desire of PW Litchfield Heritage Center and their national nomination for historic places to include the tank as is. That was a contributing item towards the nomination. So that's still a bit of work in progress, as I'm saying. But we're very cognizant of how much grass we're adding and we're putting in the right places. These terraces that have had the cypress trees, line of shrubs where Paul used to come at 5 p.m., no more calls, and reflect on the day and watch the sunset. You can read it about it. It's a direct quote from him. He had 4 books. And this is one of the areas we absolutely said had to have turf and made sense to have turf. We do anticipate this being very popular for weddings, especially for the airmen who can watch the jets come up and down, whether it be that sort of event or any sort of event. Certainly we've had groups already use this in years past. The other thing that is a big change is right now these terraces are not connected. You could try to jump from one to the other. I would not recommend it, but this would have a set of stairs and ramps that would connect those 2 terraces together. The reason they are not is because the tank had a spillway, if it ever overfilled, to wash out. Again, it's not being used. The water rights are gone. The well is gone. So we can finally connect those to make those a larger space. You see again, as well as the stairs getting down, we do not anticipate flattening this again by any means. So we do need to have stairs. We do need to have ADA ramps everywhere, quite frankly. Bandstand, please ignore the thing that says amphitheater. It is a bandstand, will remain a bandstand. We will restore that concrete and again, propose grass around it. And then again, switchbacks getting up to this area, as well as stairs and ramps getting up to this ramada as well. Moving southwest, we continue this along. Again, the fire lane connects to their parking lot, to our parking lot. We've included this little spur for cars, whether that be probably the Pro-M truck dropping off the tents, dropping off supplies, the bounce houses, what have you. They have a traversable surface to get down here to the terrace in order to drop off things. We do anticipate also making the connection from the Alva Free School's sidewalk that goes along the spine of their parking lot into a direct connection into our site. So they can connect here as well as the staircase up here. You'll see very much a restoration of what was a set of stairs. There was more turf back then at the time, but certainly we're being more cognizant of how much turf we're using and where along this main spine. And again, if you are at City Hall and you're on the west side of City Hall where the old weighing station used to be for the trucks, and you're on La Loma Avenue and you look straight north, you look straight up all the way through the Sun Health campus to the bandstand. It's very much intentional in its location. One of the things that Florence loved and had were gardens. So we would restore a rose garden very close to Julia's garden, as well as restore a desert garden here as well. This is an area we refer to as Palm Canyon. It's very much a depressed area compared to the tank area or the bandstand area. So we do anticipate having a bit of an educational component to that, to walk through this, to seal the flora, the fauna, and be very diverse in the Sonoran Desert landscape that's in this area. And we'll go back and we can talk about this in great detail, but I'll finish the presentation. And I don't believe we have heard from our applicant. Okay, thank you. So this proposal does advance the original intention of the Denny family, what they very much desired and wanted to have, something that is social, cultural, and historical. By all means, having 2 terraces, a bandstand, an event space, a performing arts center, and a terrace as well at PW Litchfield, we could have a battle of the bands, quite frankly, across all the different locations. We're very careful in considerations of our amenities, our water conservation efforts, and our vegetation, and this design and features reflect over 150 responses. The one thing I did forget, and I apologize, is there is a playground. There is a playground proposed right at the edge where there's convenient parking for parents and that bathroom facility as well. I apologize for skipping over that. Our recommendation is to approve City Council file PZ 25-7 at 5374 Litchfield Road, subject to the exhibits provided. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, you can see me again at RPG next Thursday or the following week at City Council with the same presentation.
I have a couple of questions, I guess.
Well, then ask them.
So I was just curious, when you said, we've learned to put the audiences back to the sun in the event area, is the stage, is it gonna have any kind of shade
So, yes, Board Member Dudley, I have, these are preliminary plans and our applicant, or I'm the applicant. The consultant is addressing technical review comments, but certainly through PW Litchfield, this group this evening, RPG next week, City Council, we're going to bombard them with everything that we see fit through our boards, commissions and councils for that sort of thing. To your question specifically, yes, there will be a cantilevered shade above that stage. We do feel as though the location, especially in the evening hours with the hill in both the west side and the north side, will provide a bit of protection as well. But yes, it's one of the things we've already gone back to the applicants to say that you do need to provide a cantilevered shade canopy above the stage. I will tell you, a stage and a shaded stage is still the intention within Litchfield Square Park that has not been completed yet. Right now it's grass. At some point that grass will come out on top of the slope to do a very similar sort of effort. That was one of the things that may be a phase 2, may not be a phase 1.
And then the only other thing I just was thinking about while you were talking, and you mentioned that you considered water conservation. I was wondering if there are any water capture, like are you trying to reuse for the landscape watering or, rainwater? Or
Sure. So, Board Member Dudley, one of the hardest things about that is evaporation. And back in the day, that's how they did this place. And they had the tank and they had a well in the middle of Sun Health's land right next to the base, quite frankly, that fed it. And there's a pump house to pump it up to that tank and then gravity fed. The thing that was beneficial to them is the shade already there provided by all the shrubs, the lush vegetation. This area was lush, not in the sense of turf, but in the sense of shrubs and very much large things like that. I would love to, is the short version of the answer. The long version of the answer is if it can be beneficial and not at an additional cost because of water loss, because of surface watering of that nature instead of irrigation, we can certainly look into it.
Okay, so I was just asking kind of about the water conservation. Are you trying to do it only passively, or are you trying to implement any kind of like active capture and reuse of it? But were you answering with the irrigation question?
I was answering both questions, but I'll follow up based on your feedback. The only area of active rainwater capture because of the absolute amount of slope on this site would be on the north end of the site. On the north end, we have essentially eliminated that last row of parking. So like parking here like this, we do need to capture all that runoff because it's an incredible amount of runoff that will go through the parking lot and into this area. So I guess you could say that area, yes, will have a tremendous amount of rain capture, assuming there's rain is the other part of this. But beyond that, we haven't gotten into that very minutia sort of design elements yet. The only conversation we've really had on irrigation specifically is to ensure the scope, scale, manufacturing is all consistent with what our public works crews know and understands. We've had a bit of a learning curve here in Litchfield Square as some of the things were new or foreign to them. And so we've somewhat used the square as a rough draft towards making those corrections here.
Okay, and so I'm sorry, I think I heard you say this is the first iteration. Is that right?
Yes.
So will we see this again? Do you think, or?
Yeah, Board Member Dudley, I'm going to answer that as carefully as I can with 2 council members sitting in the audience with. If feedback from PW Litchfield Design Review Board, RPG and City Council is consistent and there aren't major changes being asked of us, we're trying to get this under construction as quickly as possible. So if there are pivots we need to do, yes, you will be privy to those pivots and we'll represent this sort of situation. If we find as though we're on the right page and there might be little onesies, twosies, we may need to get this going quicker. We wouldn't want to be in a situation where you see it under construction and you wonder why you didn't see it again. So you'll see it again if we need to represent changes of significant nature.
Will there be a separate lighting and potentially signage plan?
Signage is a curiosity, and I'd appreciate feedback from, from the board.
You guys.
I'm sorry.
Lighting, we have the right guy. The lighting engineer, the electric engineer is the same one for the school, is the same one for the library. We're being cognizant of this being a dawn to dusk amenity and do not want to overlight by any means. We had to unfortunately go away from a more historic look because more historic looks are usually completely glass and completely exposed, which means anyone at Sun Health would look out and see a glare. So we had to be very cognizant of LEDs and pointing down and the appropriate light levels. I don't know what that answer is yet. We want to be cognizant of CPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design, because we don't want to create nefarious areas, especially along the terraces or on the north end where it's not readily visible by everyone. This will be an area where we do need to have cameras placed and installed throughout the park. You've seen a lot of, if you've been to other parks lately, modern parks, they have almost halos that wrap light poles. We're probably going to end up having to do the same sort of thing. So we do have eyes in the park at all times. Your other question about signage is the Director of Communications and I are working with the Sun Health team, the Agua Fria team, the Maricopa County Library District team, and the PW Litchfield team to have some sort of charrette soon to try to marry up a number of different ideas, fonts, colors, logos, because we wouldn't want to create an area that is ununified. Disunified? Can you, what?
That's unique.
Actually, no, thank you.
Great.
So it's hard.
I guess just to the lights, I might recommend considering reflected lights. I know I've seen some pictures where it kind of like the light is reflected off of, I feel like maybe even at the DVG, potentially, you know what I'm talking about, where it's actually like a metal surface, but the light comes up from below and then it just reflects back. So like a very soft light. Anyway, but that's just for your consideration. I've exhausted my questions. So if anybody else.
Oh, no, the nice thing about LEDs, they're limited by your imagination. And so, you know, in the past 10 years, how we've evolved LED lighting. And so I don't see a problem with having a small focus where you don't see the physical light, but you see it on the ground. And those are all adjustable and are also, I mean, spend 2 cents, that's what you get. You spend $20, you get much more capability and adjusting. 1, colors, 2, time of day, 3, light this section, but not that section. So it's, could be a really fun project. Also, question about the water. How many of those tanks are sitting up there now and are functioning?
Board Member Derry, there's only one tank and it's non-functioning. So we haven't filled it. So it might function, I guess you could say.
Well, the worst it'll do is drain out the bottom where you wanted it to drain.
It's true. I don't know. I'm gonna look to my left and see if I can get a nod or shake on that. Have we ever put water in that? Right. Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Put a liner in it.
Well, true.
It's,
yeah.
go, you know, why go to reinventing the wheel when you've got something and, you know, it's part of the look.
I mean,
Add another one to add to it that looks, you know, for the volume, but I'm pretty sure that for any fire we would have up there,
Yes.
our fire hydrants, you know, in our system is capable of supplying enough water. Plus, the reality that I've realized in the past 5-6 years, if it's a real fire, the problem is too many fire departments want to get into it because what are firemen trained to do? Fight fires. And what is 80% of every department around here, 80% of their calls are.
Paramedic.
That's right. That's right. So they have, you know, so the real firemen, they're far and few between. So you know, get some input from the fire department on what they think would may, you know, be reasonable. But I'm thinking 2 tanks up there, more than enough water. really want to drain them periodically just to turn the water over.
Yeah, and board member Derry, we are, every time we start a conversation with Liberty Utilities, it gets complicated because there's a water model for the school to ensure the school works. If we glom on to that water model with any other project, the school fails. And the school cannot fail, and the school is already under construction. So there may be unfortunate redundancies in the amount of equipment, pumps, and structures, quite frankly, we have up here in order to ensure not only does the toilet flush, but in case of fire, the sprinklers come on. In case of event, and they need to put up a hose, that everything works accordingly. So we are doing our best with Liberty.
Oh, yes.
So on the subject of water tanks, I just wanted to add that I would like to express that I think it would be very, like, to the extent that it could be feasible, let alone, economic. It would be very cool if the tank were to be enlisted as a working, like water capture. It could be highlighted as kind of a moment of, water, like paying attention to our water usage, and it could,
Yes.
instead of just kind of being this thing that, like, we needed it to get the historic designation, like it was cool if it also functioned in some way. Yeah.
Thanks.
Along those lines, then, with a parking lot being able to capture that much, it's gonna cost a nice pump and some pipe, but you can keep those tanks. Anytime we get a little rainstorm, you'll be able to fill up both tanks, if you're just doing 2 tanks.
I believe we do have 2 requests to speak. If, I don't know if you want to pause on my,
Let's forge on.
okay, so you want to call the first speaker?
Yeah, I don't have.
Oh, I'm sorry, they're right there.
Where are we looking?
For the top of the lead, second one was in it.
Okay. Okay, first person is Mary Dixon.
Make sure you give us your name. Everybody wants to know who you are.
Mary Dixon. I'm here on behalf of not only myself as a resident, but representing the Historic Preservation Committee of the P.W. Litchfield Heritage Center. So we were very on pins and needles waiting for this drawing to come out, because we're going to be right in the middle of this new park. So it was something we were very, very interested in. And as Randy mentioned, and I hope you all know, we have applied for the hilltop to be considered for National Historic Designation. We've already gone through the state approval process, and we're doing a little bit of tweaking before we send it on to national. And we have a little more time now because that department is shut down because of the government. So when we saw this plan, and what we wanted to see was exactly what we put into our nomination. And if you would like a copy of it, I'd be happy to send it to you so you can read it yourself. The things that we wanted to retain was the flavor of the hilltop. So we wanted to see the rose garden, the cactus gardens, the trails, the paths, the steps, and especially Sunset Terrace and Save the Bandstand, of course. So when we saw this, we were very excited about it. We would like, as this goes through different committees, we would like you to consider some of the things that are not shown on here. The restrooms, for example, there's a set of restrooms, they're adobe and they are deteriorated. So that building can't be salvaged. It's still a part of our application because that's what was there when Mr. Litchfield lived on this property. The other thing is, of course, the reservoir and the pump house that's associated with the reservoir. And where that Ramada sits is exactly where the reservoir is. And yes, the reservoir is 60 feet in diameter. It's 15 feet deep. it has rebar at 9 inches on center because I've looked at the construction drawings that were drawn in 1919.
Mm.
So when I hear you talking about reusing this, I don't think you want to reuse an over 100-year-old cistern. What we would like to see is save the top, just what's visible. Fill it in so that you don't have to worry about it, collapsing. Not that I don't think it would. But save the perimeter ring, it's just a concrete ring, and save the little manhole cover. And I have pictures of it, if you would want me to pass it around. You can see what I'm talking about. Because the more we can save, historically speaking, there's going to be 2 pictures. The second one is the pump house. The more we can salvage and retain for historical purposes, the better. We do have some word that if something happens to these structures and they fall down or they catch fire or something, it doesn't necessarily mean we would lose the designation should we get it. But we'd also like to see the pump house saved. And the pump house is located just to the east of the reservoir, or where that ramada is. And it's really hard to see on this, but there is a set of steps that are shown on here that tells me they're retaining the little slope that's already there where this pump house already sits up against the soil. So it could very easily just, close the door, lock it up, but keep it there because it tells such a huge story. Both the reservoir and the pump house contributed to not only the hilltop, but it actually supplied water to the entire town site as well. So there's a lot of history there that we would like to see retained. But otherwise, we are excited about it. We are very pleased with what we saw, and we'd like to, commend Randy. And what's the architect's name?
Don Campbell.
Don Campbell. Phenomenal job. And we're really excited about it.
Question.
I'm not your attorney, so long as it isn't a question that may
I
influence.
just think it's once and she's seen plans, she might know an answer. to.
Okay.
Isn't this pump house Adobe?
No, it's not. It's a really
Look at it.
odd sized red brick.
Are the bathrooms Adobe? I've never seen.
The
Adobe brick.
bathrooms are Adobe. And they hadn't been protected, so they're so deteriorated. Yeah, so they can't be saved. And it's really a minor structure anyway, but. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we only have, that was the only call to the public. Okay.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Okay, well, at this point, and the other folks have not made it, so we did a motion, did we just table it indefinitely?
Vice Chair, before we go there, I hope Chair is still on the phone. If Chair had any questions about this one, and we do need to make a motion on this item before we go back to that one.
No, I'm pleased to see the plan for the hilltop part.
Thank you. So that concludes my presentation. If there would like to be a motion for recommendation to City Council.
I'll make a motion that we approve to City Council, the preliminary hilltop park design.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second to approve the preliminary hilltop park design. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, it's approved. Now move on to staff report on current events.
Vice Chair, if we could, I would ask that we give a formal recommendation to table item 5E.
I would make So you need to move us to that item first,
I think the chair has to recommend it.
What am I recommending?
Five E is gonna be tabled until the next time.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't show up.
Okay. Usually a motion of what we do, the chair will just say, put it on. Anyway, but I'll go ahead and just do a motion. Thank you. I move that we go back to, was it 5E?
Yes, correct, Chair. Vice Chair.
And move that over to our next meeting for further discussion.
Thank you.
Wait, so you second, right, this motion? I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Then, so we're done there. Now we're back to staff. 30 minutes.
Vice Chair, Chair online, council members, board members. The only discussion is the biggest discussion. And I informed you all last week that there has been a state law change. I will not be talking to you about it this evening, as you know, updates from staff is not a conversation to be had, only information to be given. If you have any questions about that, certainly reach out. You're welcome to talk with me individually. I'd be happy to provide you information. We have received additional correspondence and legal opinion on the matter as of yesterday morning, or maybe this morning. I can't keep my days straight. For some of you, I'll see you at P&Z in about a week and a half time, because this will need to be a modification of our zoning code. And during that work study session, it'll be an open dialogue discussion about how this affects as far as the code requirements go. In the meantime, if you have any questions again on the matter, please feel free to reach out.
And are there any reports then to board members on current events? Hearing none. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And with that, we are adjourned.